What's up everybody, Alex here, and welcome to this Dota Underlords build guide for Hunters. Now let's get right in here. So Hunters just recently got buffed. They're back up to 3 attacks. That is absolutely fantastic at 35%. That gives them a ton of burst damage, and we really want to take advantage of that. This guide is going to have early and mid-game strategies, as well as an item guide later on, so be sure to watch the entire thing. This is the completed build, minus Medusa. This is your kind of completed late-game build. Basically what you have here is you're taking advantage of the insect bonus with Weaver and your Sand King. It's going to allow a little bit more survivability, mainly for your frontline 4 units here, especially Treant. What you're doing is you're running Treant with Lone Druid to take advantage of the Druid bonus of basically having a free 1-star upgrade to either unit. Plus Treant is a like S+ tier unit in this game. I don't care what anyone says. I think Treant is one of the absolute best units in the game right now. Having him in every lineup is almost a guaranteed bonus, because honestly he is absolutely fantastic. You have Weaver here, so if an assassin jumps, Weaver's going to protect the sniper, and then he's going to slither away. It's going to give sniper the opportunity to at least cast 1 or 2 assassinates. Draw early game, and again you have your usual hunter units in Terrorblade, Beastmaster, and Lycan up front. Overall, very balanced build. You're looking for damage, support, and Essex. You want to take advantage of the new buffs to Enthrall. The advantage to running hunters with Enthrall is that when a unit is enthralled, the hunters can focus fire that unit and take them down rather quickly because they don't have to physically move. And bear in mind, once you have Medusa as well, Enthrall is amplified because Medusa's ace effect is going to increase the amount of damage that hunters do to a single target. So let's move on to the early game strategy. Alright, now in the early game, you're going to have a lineup that looks something a little bit like this. Now, I have some few units on the bench here that I'm going to talk about in a moment for some alternative early builds. But right now, this is kind of your standard setup. You have 5 units. You're economying to 30 gold because you want to take advantage of the interest. Once you economy to 30 gold, you are going to level to at least level 6. At that point, you can start re-rolling. The reason for that is because at level 6, you'll have a 35% chance to pull our tier 3 units, Terrorblade, Lycan, and Treant Protector specifically. And Sniper. How could I forget Sniper? So basically, at 35% at level 6, that's when you want to re-roll, because you want to definitely get these guys to 2 stars. If you can get Sniper to 3 very quickly, that is basically a guaranteed top 3 finish. It's very hard because he's still contested with the dominance of Scrappies, but overall, you're getting to level 6, you're re-rolling there a little bit, but not totally tanking your economy. I wouldn't suggest going any lower than 20 gold. You want to blacklist intelligently, so say you have 5 units, if you have a 5 unit board that you don't want anybody, in this case we want Dro. Let's pretend we don't want Dro though. You have 5 units you don't want, you blacklist once by paying 2 gold, and you're guaranteed 5, or in this case 4 new units. You're going to basically get rid of all those units from the shop, and you're going to increase your chances. But let's say you have 2 units you want. You Bounty Hunter and Shadow Shaman. If I pay to reroll, I'm only blacklisting, well, 2 units here because Warlock and Snapfire. That's a waste of money. You wouldn't want to do that, so you'd want to hold on to your gold in that case, okay? So that's a little quick primer on blacklisting, but let's say some alternative builds here. What I would recommend you doing, so right now we're running Nyx Assassin to basically take advantage of the Weaver bonus. Nyx Assassin is being predominantly used in Assassins, but let's say you don't want to run Nyx, okay? You would substitute Nyx for Treant, and I would suggest this. You take out Weaver, and you would add instead, you'd add Treant Protector and Shadow Shaman. Shadow Shaman in the early game with his Hex is absolutely fantastic. You're basically disabling 1 unit for a pretty significant portion of the fight. Treant is just, as I said, an S tier unit. You want to have him on the board. Both of these units are going to benefit from 1-star upgrade, and the advantage here is that you have a tier 1 unit here, which you could probably fairly easily upgrade, and then you're guaranteed a 2-star Treant if Shadow Shaman's at level 2. Also, when you're at level 6 and you're rerolling for the 35%, your Treant Protector has an increased advantage because Treant Protector is going to be benefiting as a tier 3 unit. You're going to have an increased chance of getting him to 2 stars. An alternative build here is that if you don't have a Lycan, you can put Terrorblade in there. I prefer Lycan a little early, but you can put Terrorblade in there, especially if you get like a Stormhole Cloak or Pike. Put that on Terrorblade early. It'll allow him to really ramp up. up. Alternatively, what you can do, you can get Drow on there with Bounty Hunter. That's going to allow for the Scrappy bonus. Because you only have 2 Scrappies, it's guaranteed to fall on either of the 2, so 50% chance it falls on Sniper, which helps on the survivability. I think this is the weaker of the 3 kind of compositions in the early game, because Drow simply does not have a great enough impact until at least 2 stars, and you have the supporting cast around her. So I do think this is a little weaker, but it is an option if RNG hates you. Alright guys, in the late game, you're going to have a board that looks something like this. Now what we've got here is we got Weaver here protecting Sniper. If he takes too much damage from Assassins, he's going to slither away, which is going to allow Sniper and Drow and an Essex to cast their things. Now, we're running a Lone Druid with the Treant Protector. Both are absolutely excellent units, and they benefit each other from the Druid bonus. The reason why we want Lone Druid is because the bears are simply fantastic. They entangle units, which is great, especially for hunters, because they can basically take those entangled units down from distance. And as well, it's necessary crowd control because our hunters are a little squishy. So if we can disable units, that is fantastic. We're also running, our Terrorblade up front because we want him to transform relatively early, probably with Weaver or Sniper. We're running Lycan in the back here. The reason why we don't run Lycan up front is because we want the Treant Protector to engage first. With that, then you have these 2 units come in who are a little squishier, and then Lycan after that. Those 3 units around the Treant Protector, they benefit from the Hunter bonus, so they're going to be doing considerably more DPS than the Treant, but the Treant is going to be healing with his Leech Seed and also healing these guys around him. So it's very important that Treant engages first, okay? Now, once you get to the next level, level 9, you're going to be adding in Sand King. Sand King is going to allow you to complete the insect bonus, which simply gives you some added opportunity for evasion and survivability, and plus Spiderlings are just awesome. They're a little more effective in the early game, but this is just a nice little addition to your late game build. You want to have Sand King positioned in a way where you can have a stun very early. Even like this is totally fine. You want him to cast his stun first. Just be very wary of someone like an Axe or a Disruptor who have the opportunity to silence the Sand King, which would basically just completely destroy him. If he's silenced, he's dead right away, and he's basically a wasted unit. You don't want that. If you get onto the far later game, especially in Knockout, you're going to want to do something along these lines here. This will basically allow for Medusa. You want Medusa not in the back. A lot of players tend to try and protect Medusa. You want her closer to the front, at least by one cell, because her ability, her petrification, will only extend 3 cells. So it's important that you position her in a way to maximize the amount of damage you can do to the opponents. In fact, if you do have Medusa, you could even consider pushing your units up 1 square in order to engage your units a little closer. You would counter Medusa by putting your units on that back line to basically reduce the opportunity for her to petrify them, because they will take bonus damage. And bear in mind, with the Enthrall and Essex, Medusa also has the benefit of burning down a targeted unit by adding 5% damage per hunter attacking any given unit, which is great for Enthrall and Essex. So Medusa and an Essex is fantastic. Let's talk about items now. Alright guys, I know I got a lot of items here, but it's because they are very important to the build, and I want to talk about a whole bunch of them that you can use. Now, first of all, there's the attack speed items. Items like Gloves of Haste and the Hand of Midas. Now, these items are fantastic because they're obviously going to increase the opportunity for you to proc your Hunter ability. So, any opportunities you get to basically do additional 3 attacks, you want to take that. And those attack speed items are going to provide that. Something like Moonshard, that's really going to help you kind of proc those abilities. Moonshard on Lycan or Terrorblade is absolutely incredible, even though I would prefer Butterfly on Terrorblade. But if you get a Moonshard, also a fantastic item because it's going to give you an increased opportunity to take advantage of your Hunter ability. Now, there's a tricky unit in here in Drow Ranger. A lot of people don't know what to give Drow Ranger in terms of an item. Now, basically what I would suggest you do something like Headdress. If you get a whole bunch of awful items up front, give her Headdress. Headdress is going to give her the opportunity within 1 cell to give 20 health per second. It stacks really well with her aura, so everyone 1 cell away is going to get attack speed. Now they're getting health as well. Why not? Later in the game, you can also give her Dagon, because with Dagon, she's not going to be she's not kind of casting any active abilities, so Dagon is just going to allow her to basically have a magical ability. It's an item that can be used on her because on any other unit, it doesn't really have too much of an impact. But with Drow, she's often one of the last units to go down because of her protected position. So Dagon, you might be able to get two casts, maybe even 3 if the fight extends. Unlikely with Hunters, but still, you're going to get probably 2 casts of Dagon out from Drow Ranger. Anyways, let's talk about Treant for a second. There's a whole bunch of units that really benefit from Treant. Now, with Treant, you're going to want to probably go Vanguard is a good option because the increased health and chance to block damage. You can also put that on someone like your Beastmaster or your Lycan. But an early one that's fantastic is the Talisman of Evasion. If you throw the Talisman of Evasion on him, basically what you're going to do is you're going to give him 25% evasion. That is going to increase his survivability. Keep in mind that his Leech Seed will heal him while he's evading, and this is something that scales great in the late game. It's still 25%. It never really loses strength throughout the game. It scales wonderfully. It's a tier 1 item that scales wonderfully, and you know, it's a great option. Alternatively, you can do Vladimir's Offering. Vladimir's Offering is pretty good too. You can even put this on Drow, by the way, but it's a little better, I think, with Treant, or you can even put it on Lone Druid, but Lone Druid has a better item if RNG likes you. The other option here is you could most certainly do something like Kea on Sniper. Now with Kea, it's 20% increased ability damage. That means that at level 3, Sniper's Assassinate is going to do 600 additional damage. That's 3600 health. That is huge. And Sniper in an extended fight can do 2 casts of his Assassinate. That is 3600 damage per cast. That is quite extensive. So Kea really scales well into the late game as well. Now, what I also would suggest is something like Maelstrom. Maelstrom's great on someone like you know, Terrorblade or Lycan because of the benefit of the Hunter bonus. You are increasing the opportunity for Maelstrom to basically do repeated casts and jump from target to target. Now, with Lone Druid, the item that you're really looking for is the Refresher Orb. The reason for this is because the Refresher Orb will allow him to basically put a second bear on the field. That is absolutely incredible. Having 2 2-star bears, or even possibly a 3-star bear, multiple 3-star bears on the field is basically a ticket to a top 2, top 3 finish. So you really want to get Refresher Orb with Lone Druid. It is an auto select, even over something like a Butterfly, which is an incredible item for someone like, you know, Terrorblade or whoever your strongest carry is. Butterfly is incredible, but if given the choice between Butterfly and the Refresher Orb, you take Refresher Orb. I mean, Butterfly is still incredible on Hunters, but it can't be understated how good Refresher Orb is on the Lone Druid. Obviously, we have items like Moonshard, which are fantastic on any of these guys, right? Like even like Beastmaster, you know, Weaver, Sniper. Anybody benefits from something like Moonshard. And then what we have here, Stonehall Pike, and we have the Stonehall Cloak. I want to speak to these two. If you get an early Stonehall Pike, what you're going to want to do is you're going to put it on someone like Terrorblade. Terrorblade will really benefit from the early Stonehall Pike, and it really helps him to kind of carry. If you get a Stormhall Cloak, that would be an item for your Treant Protector, because basically what's going to happen is he's going to get a ton of kills, and it's going to increase his health, which is going to increase his survivability, which is going to hold up your front line, which is so valuable for Hunters. If you have Medusa, something like Desolator actually works great on Medusa if you have a chance, if it's sticking around, right? As I said before, what you really want to focus on with Hunters is you want to focus on the AoE kind of assistance of the Drow Ranger. So if you get something like a Hedris, you can definitely still use it, and you really want to help you know, your Terrorblade and your Treant Protector carry. If you can get a Stonehall Cloak or Stonehall Pike, they are wonderful items. And again, keep an eye out for the Refresher Orb on Lone Druid. It is fantastic. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that this build helps you. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I would be happy to answer. Thank you so much, and a special thank you to all my subscribers. Take care, everyone, and have yourselves a wonderful day.